You have a couple more weeks. You're a couple weeks out right now. How's training going right now?
Trying to get the weight down, doing a heavy cardio, and just finish up my last couple hard round goes. Boxing, sparring. Doing all my stuff this week, and kind of finishing that stuff up, and just really zoning in on my weight cut. That's usually the biggest part of this last like 2 weeks.
Have you focused in on some of the boxing
Yeah.
with I know with Ige as an opponent?
Striking. I think that his kicks aren't like super big threat all the time, but I think that his boxing is just like it's a different level than what I've faced so far. So it's definitely been very very heavy watched and drilled over and over and over. Defensively and offensively. There's plenty of things that I see that I can take advantage of. So it's definitely one of those camps that I'm super excited for, and uh, you kind of learn something in each camp. You learn a lot about yourself and about who you're fighting and stuff and the different styles. I've learned so much from this camp because I know he's faced everyone and he's had everybody in his face. So I know that it's going to be a different fight for sure.
I know it was important for you to get right back into camp again. How was that? Did you just jump right back into camp right after the last fight, pretty much?
Staying busy is always the best thing for me. Just with everything I have going on, it's staying busy like helps me, make it. It's like it's hard to make fighting doesn't make a lot of sense when you're, I have 4 girls, I have a father of 4, and me and my wife, we have a busy lifestyle with them, keeping up with them. So it's like when I don't have a fight, me training 2 to 3 times a day doesn't make a lot of sense. So like when I have a fight, it makes a lot of sense, and that's the best thing in the world. It's like when I can train hard and I know that something's going to be there at the end of the training camp. It helps me out a lot. So it's nice to have that, quickly. I was trying to get it weird. Like I messaged Dan. That's how I set this up. Is I messaged him and I was like, would love to get the matchup, and I messaged him, Alex Caceres, Julian Rosa, I forget, like Sadiq. I messaged all of them, and Julian messaged me back and said that he was matched up with Alex, and then Dan hit me back up and said that he would, that he thinks that I definitely deserve the shot at top 15, and so we try to get matched up for December, and which would have been quicker turnaround, but that's what we tried to do, but it just didn't work out with the matchups already being made, so they put us on the January card, and now we're good to go, man. We're ready to roll.
Now, for you, man, the last year you had, first off, I want to congrats you on the last year you had because you're sort of one of those dark horses for fighter of the year, man. Like, and that's just straight up. You're on a 4-fight win streak, 3 fights in the last year. You come off, you're grinding. Actually, no, it was first your submission over Kirk, then you have your grinding win over Arjueta, and then you come in and do what you do to Sabatini. Sabatini, a top prospect coming in, and obviously with the weight of the world on your shoulders in that fight, and you come in and do what you do. I mean, I know that there's a personal thing, but the professional side of things, have you had a chance to sort of sit and take that in a little bit?
It's like the end game is me being champion, me being in that top mix. So it's that's the end game, and I really I'd say like once a year, or maybe like once every 2 years or so, I kind of like take a step back and look back at like some of the stuff. And what's cool is like one time I went back and like looked at all my old fights, and I got to see a lot of stuff. Like people send me stuff a lot too, because I don't really take the time to go research it myself. But I people send me fights, and people send me stuff, and they're like, hey man, this is
That
how I
helps.
became a fan, or like this is like I love this when you did this or whatever. And so they send me stuff, and then I look at it, I'm like, oh man, that's crazy. That's a long time ago, because I've been fighting since 2009, and it feels like I've been fighting like every couple of months since then. And I've tried to stay as busy as possible, and I've been very fortunate not to have a lot of injuries, and I've had a pretty healthy, run in my career. So, it's nice to see everything kind of coming, paying off, and getting these big matchups and getting these opportunities like this to fight someone that he's fought, for the guys that are in the top 5, and and three of those guys have had title fights. So, he's been tested and tested against the guys that were fighting for the title. And Josh Emmett, I mean, he's coming up. He's fighting for the title, soon. So it's kind of crazy to think that he's fought someone that's fought for the title. So, it's just like I'm getting close, man.
100%, man. I think people don't realize that the step up in competition right now that it's there. I mean, we don't really know as fans or anybody else on the outside perceiving really what the level of competition step up is. You guys know that. We don't really know that. We perceive that, right? But as far as the name value, as far as someone who actually has been there with some of the bigger guys and fought some of the bigger fights, this is a huge step up for you, and it's actually a great matchup for you. I think. I think on the feet. It's a good person that you can bring in your power and push him on his back foot and really do what you do so well and work around his boxing. But then on the ground, man, the one thing that I got to give hats off to you, and part of the channel is a betting, MMA betting as well too, right? And the one thing I got to say about you, man, you're someone to bet on, man. You're someone to back. And the reality of the fact is, I know that's sort of a touchy subject right now in MMA, but the reality is you're a guy that will grind down some of the best guys in the world on the ground in jiu-jitsu. Your wrestling and your jiu-jitsu game on the ground is, man, it's something to back. It's something to believe in, because that alone was something that we backed in your last fight. We didn't even, no one in the world knew what the weight of the world was on your shoulders, and you go in there and do what you do with your hands, and touch up Sabatini and land those shots. And, in that situation, once again, it's sort of a shallow concept, but from a betting standpoint, if anybody knows that somebody's, dealing with a personal thing going into it, they're going to back away from that situation. You're an outlier. And this is why I bring this to you. You're an outlier. You literally took a tough situation and you went and spun it into as positive situation as you could for yourself, your family, and everybody else rolling forward. It was one of the most inspirational moments of the year. And hands down, for some of you that don't know, and you can stop me whenever you want, and I'm not going to get too deep on it, but before his last fight, Damon Jackson's brother had passed away. And the man kept it to himself. He internalized it. He took the weight of the world on his shoulders and went in and dusted his last opponent, dusted Pat Sabatini. And that is inspirational. And for me, being a dad, that's a lesson, and that's probably the biggest lesson any kid could learn, or any person could learn, really. In fact, a lot of adults need to learn still. What does it mean to you to be that person to go in with the greatest adversity in the world, the weight of the world on your shoulders, and some people can't even get up for work because it's a shitty day outside. You take everything on your shoulders and go in and do what the hell you do what you did and channel everything to a moment. What does that mean to you?
Doing this, I started in seventh grade. I saw The Ultimate Fighter, and I saw the UFC before that, and I saw like how it evolved into a real sport, and I just wanted to be a part of it ever since the seventh grade. And so, once I've realized that wrestlers were the way to go, like I kind of set my goals in wrestling to, advance me into MMA and to the UFC. And so, this is something I've been doing for years, and my entire life has been based around this. So, for me to like, slip up and like, I've been working so hard, and I've had so much support from my family and from my friends and from people that were close to me and my brother, my family. Just, I've had so much support from everyone, and to like let them down and to like, just to like say that I was having a hard week because of everything. Like, I think that, I never one time did this to like, help support someone else and to help people think that they can work through their problems. But it was like it was the coolest thing in the world to like have that fight, and then to like win the fight the way I did and everything, and then for everyone to reach out to me the way they did and like tell me that, hey man, I just lost my dad, or I just lost my mom or sister, brother, or whatever. And like when people are telling me that, and I'm sitting there like thinking like I never one time did that for anyone. I didn't do it for my mom. I didn't do it for my girls. I didn't do it for my wrestlers. Like I did it for no one but myself, because I was like I mean, I didn't know what else to do. Like this is like when I'm normal. It's like, cutting weight,
Yeah.
going through the fight week interviews, doing all the, the BS, the photo shoots, doing all the, one training with your coaches and stuff. And it's just like, that's normal to me. And like normal for me is not going to be sitting around crying and, feeling bad for, my mom, and feeling bad for my dad, and like feeling bad for the loss of, my brother and stuff. It didn't feel right to just sit back and wait for it. So it only felt right to move forward. And I knew that, I just wanted that. I wanted that win before that, all that happened. I wanted that win so bad, because people just look down on me and they say like the craziest shit. Like they try to tell me that I'm just a wrestler, and they try to tell me that I don't have the ability to fight these top level fighters. And to take out like a big prospect like that was that I had that goal when I got the matchup. I was like, like my manager was like, like, this is a tough fight. You sure you want it? And I'm like, bro, don't even hit me up about that. Like, give me every fight you can. Whoever's the toughest guy, I want them. And at the time, everybody thought Pat was the guy, and just taking him out was just it was a goal that I had right off the bat. I wanted to finish him. I didn't want to just win. I wanted to finish the fight, and it was just nice the way it happened. You couldn't have wrote it up any better as far as like having all the bullshit that was
No.
going on that week, and then to come through and to get the win the way I did, and to not take any damage in front of my mom and stuff, and it was nice, man. It was just it doesn't happen a lot because there's very few fights that you kind of like look back and you're like that was the perfect fight. I've only had really like maybe one other fight where I was like, man, I couldn't have done much better than that. And it's like you always kind of look back and see like where you messed up and what you could have done better. And it was just so nice to have a good win and a feel good moment for for myself, but for everyone else to like feel like that they got something out of it. It's really cool. I still have people like still to this day people message me about it, and it's cool, man. It's definitely rough to lose someone that close, but doing what you do on a normal everyday basis is the best way to get past it, and just keep moving forward because there's not a whole lot you can do about it. You only have control of yourself. I tell my girls that all the time, like like control the controllables, and it's like it's such a little list, like a small things that you can do to control anything, like with your life, career, like whatever you want to think about. It's like you have the ability to control yourself, and that's it, and your actions, and that's it. So, it was just nice, man. I'm definitely amped up for this fight, though. It's moving forward with my career. It's nice, and never forget him, and his support and stuff. And that's why I'm keeping Action Jackson instead of the Leech. I'll always be the Leech, like grappling and looking to take the fight to the ground for sure. But definitely, it's nice to remember him and to keep that alive for sure.
I've went back and watched your fight and watched your post fight. And sure, it's a selfish thing, but it's a perspective thing on like it's like what am I talking about right now? And I put myself in check. And like everybody watches inspirational clips and certain things to give
Yeah,
yourself a little bit of a kick or whatever it is that drives you. And that's something I've gone back to. Fights inspire me. So a full fight or the Leon Edwards fight or things like that inspire me. And then watching your fight and then the post fight and then what you went through, it just put me in check. Like, okay, bitch, man, get up, do what you have to do for your kids. And you beat me to the punch. I was going to ask you what like full on lesson can your kids learn from that? And you hit the nail on the head, man. You got to get up and do it. You got to just push through and get it done, man. So for you, you're rolling this forward and you going into a fight. I know that you trained for the worst. You can train for even yourself in best situations, how we're going to finish things. Everybody's a little bit different. Rafian Stotts is somebody who I've talked to recently, and he really dug in about the fact that he likes to put himself in bad positions all the damn time, and he puts himself in bad positions and lives there. For you, do you find yourself in training? It's better for you to live there,
6
or is it?
a.m. I had one of my clients that is a great grappler. I had him start on my back, and I had him start in front headlock, and I had him start where he had my arm in an arm bar, and then I had him start in leg lock attempts and stuff like that. And it just things like that. I think that whatever sport you're doing, you want to put yourself in the best of the best positions and just drill that over and over the finishes and stuff like that, which is great. And then you also want to put yourself in the worst. And I train with some of the toughest guys, grappling and striking and everything. And I have like Abdul, he's one of my, he's one of my teammates. He's been my teammate for years now, and he's such an athlete, such a great, training partner. And to have him come in on my, my second or third or my fourth round is just absolute killer. And then Elijah Johns, EJ, he's one of my training partners, and coach put him in there, to push me in my wrestling or to push me in my southpaw, stances and stuff like that. So, I've got killers around me every day, and I think that that's kind of like I put myself there as much as I can, but I think that I kind of protect myself. Sometimes I'll put myself in a position where I know I can get out of or whatever, but then my coach is like, I don't have control of my rounds, so like I'm doing rounds, and then all of a sudden he throws me in there with someone that I know is going to push me in somewhere that I'm struggling or whatever it is. So Like my coach does a really good job with that, like, managing, what fighters are coming in, what's rounds, and like what I need to be pushed in and stuff like that. So I think that it's definitely important to like put yourself in those, bad positions and, really work out of it quickly and not, sit there and take damage.